Noel, I wanted to add something to the points that you made in your video. Your argument that we shouldn't judge people against our modern morality when viewing them through the lens of history is fine up to a point, but I think we have to be very careful when using this defence of historical context. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. I can see how it could be argued that Muhammad having sex with a girl who, in modern times, would be considered underage is no different in what was acceptable at the time from, say, the founding fathers of the US owning slaves. It's fair enough to claim that they were living by the moral code of their time. The problem with this approach is that although you say someone who lived by a moral code a millennium and a half ago can't be considered the ideal role model to which we should all aspire, well, that's exactly what Islam is saying. To be fair, it's not just Muslims who say this, it's exactly what the Christian fundamentalists say too, about a moral framework that is equally as anachronistic. It's equivalent to someone justifying slavery in the US today by saying it was okay for the founding fathers, it's what they would have wanted. But I don't agree with your example of the Islamic fundamentalists having a good old theistic cherry pick and saying, well, fucking the 9-year-old, we'll have to look at that in context, but the rest of it, that's spot on. Because that isn't how they're doing their cherry picking. They don't have a problem with Muhammad fucking a 9-year-old then, and they wouldn't have a problem with him doing it today. That Muhammad had a child bride isn't whitewashed out using the historical context argument. It's used as justification for that behaviour today. You mentioned this in the description box, but I don't feel that you really covered it in the video. And I think this is key to the whole approach of accusing Muhammad of being a paedophile. Because some Muslims today think it's okay for a 13-year-old girl in Yemen to die from injuries sustained by having her adult husband rape her on her wedding night. And I reject any arguments for cultural sensitivity here. An adult male forcing himself on a child with such brutality that she dies from her injuries is at very least a rapist, and probably a murderer. This ancient morality is used to justify the oppression of women today. To justify a father selling his 12-year-old daughter as a bride for an 80-year-old man. To justify the stoning to death of women who've been raped. Until we can get past that, I'm quite happy to call Muhammad a paedophile. Quite happy to judge him by my modern moral code because Muhammad's behaviour is being sold as a modern moral code. One that's divinely inspired and therefore perfect across the ages. I say that slavery is wrong today, and I say it was wrong even before it was outlawed. That calling an adult who has sex with a child a paedophile rapist is valid today, and it was valid a week ago, 10 years ago, or 10 millennia ago. And that this is evidence enough for anyone to see that it makes no sense to claim Muhammad is a perfect role model, and that I should be held to account against his teachings. As for the Hamas child bride hoax, well, you've got no argument for me there. Making up stories to misrepresent and demonise a group of people that you disagree with or don't like is disgusting. If an argument can't be made without selectively misrepresenting or withholding the facts, or outright lying, then it's not much of an argument. As time goes by, the phrase hate campaign does seem to be getting a better and better fit for what we're seeing. Does someone who has nearly 100,000 subscribers and who portrays themselves as an educator have a duty not to misrepresent the facts? I say undoubtedly. Lies are lies, whether they're in favour of a position I share or against them. Will there be a retraction? I don't know, because often when you're giving people what they want to hear, the truth or fairness of what you're saying isn't always a consideration. Take Fox News, the Daily Mail, or any number of creationist websites for prime examples. When you start to believe in your own legend and everyone tells you how great you are, you can sometimes lose your perspective. If you told me a year ago that something like this would appear on Thunderfoot's channel, that he would be prepared to stoop to propaganda, lies and threats to make his points about the dangers of irrational adherence to religion, I wouldn't have believed it. I'd have argued that those of us who consider ourselves rational free thinkers have no need to resort to misrepresentation and threats to make our case, that these are the tools of fanatics, deceivers and manipulators. But now, well, a lot can change in a few months. The abyss really does seem to be having a good, long, hard stare back, doesn't it?